Welcome to the Washington Blades 14th Annual Summer Kickoff Party. Not quite.
Is it summer already?
As you know, this event is supposed to happen in May, but due to COVID, we had to cancel it. We're very excited, however, to bring you the summer closing party with social distancing. Thank you to Nate. Nate, thank you. Nate and I go way back to Brandy's in New York and the Atlantis cruise to Hong Kong, and I was so thrilled to find out that he was going to be here this summer. He has entertained us all summer long, so thank you for your talent. This guy can sing everything from, he does everything from Billy Joel to the thong song, so he's talented.
That is true. Thank you.
Wait, Magnolia and Roxy, thank you both. I did not even have to ask them, they volunteered, and they're here sharing their talent with us as well, so thank you so much. Thanks. I want to thank Tim and Randy and everybody who works at the Moon. Small businesses have taken it on the chin this year. I should know, I am an owner of one. It has been very challenging, of course, for restaurants and for bars, and these guys have just been, and you all have just been inspirational with all the creative ways that you have not just stayed afloat, but really innovated and kept us all fed and kept us entertained and laughing. So thank you to everybody at the Moon. You really have done an incredible job under just unprecedented and awful circumstances, so thank you. I want to thank our sponsors tonight. We have two. The Leanne Wilkinson and her group, who were supposed to be sitting there. So I have this joke with Leanne. I have been to her office 3 times to visit her, and she's never there. And now she's a no-show tonight. So I don't know if she really exists, but she did sign up as a sponsor. So thank you, Leanne, if you're watching. Thank you. Our other sponsors tonight is Delmarva Power. We have a 2-year partnership now with Exelon and Pepco out of Washington, and we're very happy tonight to expand that partnership to include Delmarva Power. We're going to hear a little bit more from them in a minute, but they're doing really great work around inclusion and diversity in the workplace. We'll hear from them in a second. I want to acknowledge a few Blade folks who made the trip. Lucha Barro, our senior news reporter, is up front. Michael Lavers is our international news editor / videographer. And my business partner, Brian Pitts, is in the back. Thank you, guys. I want to thank all of you for making the trip and for being here live and in person. I know not everyone is comfortable doing in-person events yet, so I appreciate everybody being here and contributing to the Blade Foundation. I want to acknowledge our Facebook Live audience. Hi, Facebook people. So, when we announced this event, I heard from a number of people, because normally this event is packed full. I heard from a lot of folks who normally come, but just weren't comfortable yet being indoors, and so they asked if we could stream this, which we are doing. So my message to all of you watching at home is, hello, we miss you, we'll see you in May, and there's no such thing as a free lunch, so go to bladefoundation.org and donate now, or we're going to turn it off. Let me talk for a sec about why we're here. The Blade Foundation. The foundation is a 501c3 arm of the Blade. It is about 10, 11 years old now. We do 3 things at the foundation. We raise money for 1, scholarships for LGBTQ journalists. We awarded a $5,000 in October, and our next one will be awarded next month. Number 2, we fund a fellowship program for aspiring LGBTQ journalists, and that's why you all are here tonight. And thirdly, we fund enterprise journalism projects around international LGBTQ issues. So Mike Lavers, if you know his byline, if you don't know it, you should. He's been all over the world for us, with a particular focus in the last couple of years in Central America, Latin America, the Caribbean. He's actually been thrown out of Cuba, which to me shows that he's doing a really good job. Those are the 3 things that the foundation raises money to do. Specifically tonight, this event raises money for a Delaware-focused journalism fellowship. We created this fellowship in conjunction with Camp Rehoboth and Murray after passing his name. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. We'll be right back. We're just getting mics prepared.
Oh, okay. I'm back. We created this fellowship in honor of Steve Wilkins. Uh-oh. Am I back? Okay, there I go. Steve Wilkins, who of course was a co-founder of Camp Rehoboth, but also was a journalist. So we wanted to honor that part of his life and work. And so we created the Steve Wilkins Memorial Fellowship. It is a 12-week fellowship in May and throughout the summer that focuses on reporting LGBTQ issues in the state of Delaware. Delaware is a little bit of a news desert, we found, when it comes to coverage of LGBTQ issues. Camp Rehoboth letters accepted, of course. And we wanted to try to fill that vacuum with some really important coverage of the news here. So that's what inspired the fellowship. Josh Keller was our summer fellow this year, and so every dime that we raise tonight will pay for the 2021 fellowship. If we raise a little money, it'll be 12 weeks again. If we raise more money, it could be 24 weeks. So if you're at home, BladeFoundation.org. So that's what the foundation does and why we are here. A little bit about the Blade really quickly. It's a crazy year, as we all know. A friend of mine who works for the New York Times told me last week that his boss said, being a journalist in 2020 is like covering the 1918 Spanish flu, the Great Depression, the civil rights movement of the 60s, and a presidential election all at once. So we're busy at the Blade. This week's issue is out with our official endorsement of Joe Biden for president. It is thorough. It is about 2,500 words. If you need fodder for your fights with Fox News watching family members, all the ammo you need is in that op-ed. In addition to the serious stuff, we have our annual Best Of competition that's on right now, and we've added a bunch of Rehoboth categories this year, so be sure to go onto the Blade website and vote. We have some nominees in the room. Roxy, Magnolia, Chris Beagle's nominated. Nate is nominated. The Moon is nominated. Nate's nominated. Anyway, a lot of people are nominated. Go there and vote until next Saturday. So that's what we are up to right now. Next up, I'm pleased to welcome to the stage one of tonight's sponsors. Delmarva Power, which is part of Exelon, is doing great work in diversity and inclusion, which includes empowering LGBTQ employees to organize in employee resource groups. And I have had the pleasure of actually working with their ERG at a DC, and it is very smartly run. It's a terrific group of folks, and they're doing really good work. They really are a model for companies, large and small, for how to make all of their employees feel welcome. We are very happy to work in partnership with Exelon, Pepco, and now Delmarva Power. Gary Stockbridge has more than 35 years of experience in utility and energy work. He is the board president for the Workforce Investment Board in Delaware. He's chairman of the board for the State Chamber of Commerce, chairman of the board of the Vision Coalition, which supports education reform, and he's also chair of the advisory board for the Chesapeake Bay Council of the Girl Scouts. He's a busy guy, and he has taken time out to be with us tonight. If you lost your power recently, do not bother him with that. Please welcome the region president of Atlantic City Electric and Delmarva Power, Gary Stockbridge.
Okay, seriously, I hope none of you have problems with your electric bill or your electric service.
Well, the bill maybe.
But if you do, here, I actually, I was just mentioning earlier, my wife and I just moved into the governor's, so we're fairly local. Not that means you can come over and when your electricity's out and everybody, be glad to help. As was mentioned, in our broad company, Exelon and Delmarva Power, we've been on a journey, and I really want to just take a few minutes to thank the Blade for being a partner on that journey. We've been working at making sure our company is diverse and representative of the communities that we serve, that we're ingrained in activities like this so we understand the communities that we serve, and probably most importantly, as was mentioned, that it's an inclusive and welcoming work environment. I can't tell you how exciting it is as we get better at it to see how our employees really thrive and are excited about it themselves. So it's really a win-win at the end of the day, and it's so enjoyable to be on this journey. But it takes hard work, and it takes strong partners, and so that's what the Blade has been to us. They've given us and our employees a voice, and I think what we realized as a company, I think when we first started, it was about an internal journey for our company, but we realized in today's society it can't be internal; it's got to be out. You know, we have to be talking outside our company about the same journey that we're on. And I'm kind of passionate in all my board engagements in Delaware because I think Delaware can be a very inclusive state. And I think we have a lot of room to improve, but I think we have a lot of good things that we can be doing. And to the extent I can help do that, I'm going to try to do that. So I just want to end by saying the same thing I said at the beginning. Thank you very much for your partnership. Thank you for kind of holding our hand on this journey. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. We're trying to get better. And thank you for inviting me tonight. I really appreciate being part of this. Some beautiful music to hear, and I look forward to the rest of it. So thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. You all remember our next speaker. She spoke at this event 2 years ago, and she wowed us all. As Joe Biden recently said, this woman can preach. She is your congresswoman and a vocal advocate for LGBTQ equality. She was also one of just a small handful of advisors who picked Kamala Harris for vice president. That's an applause line. Please welcome via video your Congresswoman, Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Good evening, everybody. It's Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester here, and I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person at the Blade Summer Closing Party. It's an event that I look forward to, and I'm really sorry that I can't be joining you in person, but I am there with you in spirit. I want to thank the Washington Blade for all that you do, both by highlighting the issues that we need to understand and share that word with the broader community, but also for the future and the efforts that you are making with the foundation to ensure that there are journalists that can tell the stories and that can get the word out and that can motivate and inspire us to be better and to make change. Again, I am fortunate that I've been able to be in the Equality Caucus and to work on legislation and be a co-sponsor of the Equality Act, which we passed in the House. But I also want to make sure that you know I am with you on the battle as we move forward. So thank you so much for everything you do. I'm looking forward to coming next year where I can again dance like I typically would do at the summer closing party. And I wish you the best, and I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, we love her. Am I back? Okay. All right, our next speaker tonight, I've been trying to get him back here for like 6 years. He's a busy guy. Our keynote speaker tonight has been an important leader in the resistance to Donald Trump and his criminal presidency. From grilling Neil Gorsuch on his warped view of personal liberty, to fighting against carve-outs to equality in the name of so-called religious freedom, our senator has been a courageous voice of opposition. He was elected to the Senate in 2010, and in his first month as a senator, he voted to end Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He has led the It Gets Better congressional effort, and in 2017, he reintroduced comprehensive LGBTQ non-discrimination legislation via the Equality Act. He has supported LGBTQ people around the world, taking up our issues with heads of state all over the world. He was an early supporter of marriage equality, and he remains a stalwart ally of our community. Please welcome your United States Senator, Chris Coons.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you, Roxy and Magnolia. Please give them another round of applause. And to Randy and Tim, thank you for the board moving for great location for a fantastic summer kickoff party. If we can make this a fantastic summer kickoff party, maybe we can make this a fantastic election, because it's important that we recognize that "it's in the mail" now refers to your ballot. So let's make sure we get our ballots in and we get our votes done. I don't know if you got to see Lisa Blunt Rochester, but she was rocking the Zoom background. I've told her she is better than any member of Congress. She actually got an award for her Zoom background. She is passionate, she is soulful, she is committed to equality, and she is a great partner for me in the Congress of the United States. So give her another round of applause if you would. I'll tell her that it was thunderous. And to Nate, thank you for the beautiful music before we started the formal program. Lou and I were talking before we got started. I have a daughter who's attending college in the East Village, and when we went up there for her to start her education there last year, the first place she wanted to go was Stonewall. She wanted to see where 50 years earlier, a community said, "We are sick and tired of being told to live in the shadows, of being oppressed and marginalized, of being left out of the story of America." And I didn't realize, Lou, that it was 50 years ago, that same year, later that year, that the Washington Blade started. As a mimeograph sheet, but as that first published journalistic voice of the LGBTQ community in our nation's capital. So let's just say for a moment, 50 years. What an arc. What a long, challenging journey. And here we stand at a moment, at an absolute pivot point. Because when I started as your senator 10 years ago, I thought that first month when we cast a vote for the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it was just a matter of time. Months maybe a year or two before the Equality Act came to the floor, was passed, and was sent to the president. Here we are 10 years later. And are we farther, or have we gone back? We've gone back. Frankly, since his first month in office, President Trump and Vice President Pence scrubbed every reference to the LGBTQ community from the White House website, reversed policy on supporting trans soldiers, changed policy in terms of supporting adoptive parents, and globally went on a campaign to reverse the position of the State Department and all of our representatives overseas. In the years that I served on the Foreign Relations Committee, serving as an American representative with foreign heads of state, I raised equality in every head of state meeting I did around the world, and I've been to 83 countries. And that change in position, that rollback, that reversal was bracing, was swift, and was global. So what am I not just hoping for? What am I not just working for? What am I voting for? I'm voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris so I can be proud of the White House and our national leadership and our place in the world today. I'm voting so that the United States stands for human rights, and human rights stands for a full vision of equality and inclusion. And let me just take a moment and thank Gary. Let me thank the leadership at Delmarva for saying, this is a classic American corporate story of transformation. And I didn't ask you if I could say this beforehand, but I'll tell you, my mom used to be on the board, and as an HR lead of another company, who herself saw that company go through the journey, I know she was excited about the journey that Delmarva is on. And that's the same 50-year journey I'm describing, that the Blade's been such an important part of, that Stonewall was such a key part of, but that is not over. It's a journey from being silenced and excluded and marginalized to being tolerated, to being included, to being equitably, fully engaged. Today we have corporate leaders like Gary, and we have corporations in our state and country that recognize that it's not enough to say we are tolerant. It is not enough to say we are inclusive. You have to actually invest proactively in equity. We have to actively undo structures of oppression and marginalization and exclusion. Why am I supporting Joe Biden? Because he was the first Democratic national leader to not just sort of mumble under his breath, to not just sort of in response to some questionnaire, but to proudly say, I'm for marriage equality. and that help make it happen. And I just have to thank you for the scholarship that the Blade Foundation is going to be awarding, that you're contributing to. If you haven't contributed, contribute more. It is named for a dear friend, Steve Wilkins. And some of you saw I was here early, and I heard that Murray was next door. And I went over to get a chance to visit with Murray. And to have a chance to just visit with him and reminisce about the power and the significance of their love for each other, and the way that his loss is the loss that every married person knows. He'll never be the same without Steve. We'll never be the same without Steve. But to be able to celebrate with him, to cherish with him that loss and that love is a part of the world that we are living into. A world that doesn't tolerate, a world that includes. A world that doesn't just say it's okay, a world that celebrates, recognizes, and makes central all types of love, and says they are all worthy of our respect, of our advocacy, and of our celebration. So, thank you for what the Blade has meant for 51 years, what it means now as we kick off this amazing and memorable summer, and what it will mean at the ballot box in the primary here in Delaware on Tuesday. Don't forget. And what it will mean on November 3rd. I'm going to do one last thought exercise for you. Think about how you felt the morning after Donald Trump was elected President of the United States. I will tell you that my wife and I could barely get our daughter to leave her room. She wept for hours and said, "Dad, what does this mean about this country and people like me who love in different ways than 50 years ago were celebrated and tolerated? What does it mean? I thought our country was moving forward, and now I see it's moving back." And I promised her that day I would fight tirelessly to move us back towards a future where all of us are allowed to, no, are celebrated in loving the people we are meant to love. By casting your votes November 3rd, you have a chance to wake up, whether it's November 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, and say, Joseph R. Biden Jr. and Kamala Harris are the President and Vice President of the United States. And I know what that means for all of us together moving forward. Thank you for what you're doing for the Blade Foundation. Thank you for what you say about who we are as a nation. And thank you for giving me hope and purpose. Great being with you. I may not dance like Lisa, but I hope I did. Great to be with you. Bye. If you want me to take questions, I'm happy to take questions. Forgive me. Does anyone have a question? Casey looks very confused. Sorry, I thought I was supposed to take questions. Does anyone have a question? If not, I'll simply wait and smile.
I do. I do.
Because it's a journalistic organization, right?
As the international news editor, the question I have for you, Senator, is earlier this week, the president of the Philippines pardoned a U.S. Marine who was convicted of killing a transgender woman. And there are reports that have emerged subsequent to that pardon that Duterte pardoned this person in exchange for access to U.S. vaccines to fight COVID. Any comment on that?
Wow.
No pressure.
Yeah. You know, I don't know whether to be embarrassed, stunned, or encouraged by the fact that I'm still capable of being surprised. Right? Has it not happened to you in the last 6 weeks that President Trump has done something and you think, and you say, I can't believe, and then you go, how could I be surprised by anything? That Duterte could pardon a murderer who killed someone who deserves to be alive today, and that could possibly be seen as a trade-off for a vaccine to save lives from the latest pandemic, strikes me as a new low, even for this administration. Making sure that the vaccine, once developed, tested, and safely and securely made available, to make sure that that is available globally without any hateful terms or conditions, is one of my priorities. And to make sure that we restore a sense of justice in terms of how we not just tolerate, but respect and fight for and support trans Americans and trans people globally is a big part of my foreign policy agenda for a Biden-Harris administration. So, yes, I have something to say. That's wrong. It shouldn't happen, and it will change if Joe Biden's elected president.
Senator, I'm not a mic person.
I'll repeat the question because he's not a mic person.
So something that was missed is that Trump sent a lot of people, a lot of Latin people, Spanish people, into cages. That has been not talked about for a while. What do you know on your insight to what's going on with all those people and where they are now, and how can we prevent this from happening again?
Great question. You're not Mike. Your name is
Brian.
Brian, who's not a Mike guy. Brian said, all of us were riveted, appalled, embarrassed, and angered by a period during Donald Trump's presidency when he was intentionally using cruelty to children and parents as a tool of immigration policy. When someone came to him, and that someone I think was Jeff Sessions, but hey, how about if we rip parents and children apart, detain them in dog-like cages, separate them by hundreds of miles, and use that to deter people from fleeing violence and oppression in Central America? Think about the moment when a president said, yeah, to that idea. Even Republicans in the Senate spoke out against that policy. And like dozens and dozens of other senators, I went to the border, I visited facilities, I spoke to and listened to refugees who've been separated from their parents or children. It is still going on today. Because of a change in policy, overwhelmingly what's happening now is anyone seeking asylum in the United States is immediately forced back into Mexico, and they are living in camps in Mexico while they await a chance to plead their case in an American court. So it's no longer on the evening news because the risks and the violence and the challenge are happening physically in Mexico. But Cindy McCain literally called me last week to say she had just been in one of the camps in Mexico and is alarmed and concerned and wondering what more we can be doing about it. There is another family separation policy that has never been changed or interrupted. You may remember that President Trump ran on a so-called Muslim ban. He said, I'm going to ban Muslims from coming to this country. And it was the first major thing he did as president was signing an executive order saying everybody trying to come from these 7 countries that are all majority Muslim can't come in. That one was blocked by a federal court. He tried again. The second one was blocked by a federal court. He tried again. The third time, it was upheld by the Supreme Court with a new conservative majority. I'm the lead senator on something called the No Ban Act that would repeal not just the executive order, but the Supreme Court case, and say that discrimination based on religion and a whole bunch of other factors can't be the basis of immigration decisions in the United States. It's passed the House, just like the Equality Act. It's gone nowhere in a Republican-controlled Senate, just like the Equality Act. And it is on the short list of things I want to see us take up, pass, and send to a President Biden who would sign it. We are still separating families based, in this instance, on religion, rather than based on national identity. We signed, does everyone know about the St. Louis? There was a shipload of German Jewish refugees who tried to enter the United States, fleeing Nazi Germany. They spent months, literally, floating up and down off the east coast of the United States, trying to find anywhere to land. Ultimately, they were forced back to Germany, where many were killed in the Holocaust. After the Second World War in 1950, we led the adoption of a global convention that says you cannot force people back if they are fleeing through another country, if they're fleeing persecution. We are explicitly violating that convention in our current practices. So I think what we're doing in terms of how we treat refugees and those seeking asylum in the United States is immoral, violates international law, violates our own law and precedent, and is something I think I will work hard, and I am confident a Biden-Harris administration would reverse. Thank you for the question, Brian. Thank you for the chance to be with you. Lou gets the last question. You know, when you say any questions and there's journalists in the room, you got to expect it. So Lou gets to ask the last question.
All right. This is the white mic, Randy. There you are.
Senator, thank you. I think that if the poll numbers hold up and Biden does win in November, we all know some people, many of us, have family members who support Trump. None of us know why, but I was wondering, is there a chance of conciliation? And what would you say, for example, to a Trump supporter here in Sussex County?
Funny you should mention that. I had that chance this morning. I won't give you the whole story, but I stopped at Casey's Delights for a Kaiser Schmarman this morning. And, you know, one couple was there, and they were like, oh, Chris Coons, great to see you. And this other guy was sort of looking. And he says, are you Senator Coons? I'm like, yep. He goes, oh, I'd like a picture with you. Great, I'll take a picture. He said, I'm taking this to drive my roommate nuts. I said, excuse me? He said, she supports her primary opponent, and Bernie Sanders. I support Trump. I said, oh. I said, oh, no, I'm voting for you. I said, oh. He said, oh, you work across the aisle, you know, you stand up for the country, you know, you try to do. I said, okay. Any questions? He goes, yeah. Have you been with Trump? I'm like, oh, yeah, I've had breakfast, I've had lunch, I've tried it. I mean, first 6 months, we tried to find somebody. He says, is he every bit as crazy? In private? I said, yes. And more. He said, oh. I said, well, he goes, oh, I'm still going to vote. I said, can you help me with that? He goes, yeah, he's going to keep my taxes low and he'll protect the country. I'm looking at him. I said, are you by any chance a veteran? He goes, yeah, Army. I said, okay. Did you read General Mattis's resignation letter? He goes, no. It's okay. Professor Coons, just a little homework. Forgive me. Just go read what a 4-star Marine Corps general wrote. He's not a politician. But Trump did something so out of bounds, so completely without warning, so completely without precedent that he felt compelled to not just resign, but to publicly detail why. Go look that up and see if you still want to vote for him. That is as gentle a way as I can. I mean, he said he was voting for me. Come on. We all have relatives. It happens in the best families. These are hard conversations. But, you know, when someone literally looks you in the eye and says, yeah, I know he's vulgar and I know he's a racist, but I'm voting for him anyway, that's usually a conversation stopper. My challenge on the floor of the Senate is working with people every day where that's essentially what they're saying by how they vote. I said you were last. Forgive me, we've now got a forest of it.
Last. So, listen, it's crazy and what's going on and the whole attitude and family issues. And family issues are big. But that answer alone tells me that he has a following that is cultish.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with that, because it's true and it's crazy. Let's talk about our new President Biden. I don't feel cult. I don't feel passion as much as I want. I feel it, but I don't feel the energy from, and maybe building. How do we get it there? How do we move this thing? We know who he is, you know, scum of the earth, sorry. How do we move this thing the other way so strongly that Biden can actually take this?
So, forgive me, my homework. There's 5 states that matter. There's 5 states that genuinely, deeply matter. And every one of you has some friend, some acquaintance, some extended family member, someone from school or from work or from travel, someone you know who's living right now in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, you know, and who isn't that political. You know, they work, family, business, whatever. They're just not that into politics. Take the risk. Because it is uncomfortable. Trust me. I had a conversation with a childhood friend from Indiana who I haven't seen or talked to in a long time. He's become a very conservative Christian. And he sent me a note the other day. He'd seen my comments about Biden at the convention. He was watching. And he just wanted to talk about, right? Because for him, it's all about abortion. That's the soul. And I was saying, yeah, but racism, oppression, intolerance, right? So we had a conversation, and that's uncomfortable. Pick the person or persons you know in your life who haven't heard from you, because it is uncomfortable. But they know you. You're their relative, their friend, their classmate, their roommate, and just say to them, if you vote against Trump or for Biden, and you can't make up your mind, do it for me. Do it for the difference it will make in my life, in how a part of America I am. Because at the end of the day, people vote not based on abstractions, not based on a list, not based on some group. They vote based on their gut. I know Joe Biden. He's sharp and smart and capable. He knows what he doesn't know. He listens to experts. And at the end of the day, his policies will make us healthier, safer, and more respected. So we can spend all the time we want saying, oh, Donald Trump's a terrible guy. Oh, Donald Trump's a terrible guy. Most people have picked up on that. They've heard that somewhere. And the folks who are still undecided, they're not going to be decided based on, is he vulgar? Or right? What they're looking at, maybe, is what's going to happen to their taxes, what's going to happen to our security, and what's going to happen to our health. At the end of the day, hearing from someone they know or love or respect that this matters to you personally is going to move votes. We're going to win Delaware. Pennsylvania is going to be close. Ohio is going to be close. Michigan is going to be close. Wisconsin is going to be close. I can think of someone I know in every one of those states. And if you want extra homework, Georgia, Iowa, Florida, absolutely. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the cultish passion has to come from love, not from fear and hate. Fear and hate are stronger emotions, as we all know all too well, but they're not deeper. What I saw in talking to Murray about Steve was that depth. That's what motivates me, is a deep respect for love. That's what motivates Joe. So grab a little passion, remember how you felt November 4th, and take a little extra time and reach out. Get one more person to vote for Joe in one of those 5 states. Okay? Thank you. Great being with you. Thank you. Good to coming.
Thank you, Senator Coons. Thank all of you for being here. Thank you at home. BladeFoundation.org one more time. Thanks again to Nate, Magnolia, Roxy, everybody that works here. Randy and Tim, thank you for hosting us for the 14th year. We look forward to May. When we're all vaccinated, and when Senator Coons brings his friend, President Biden, to the party. Tip everybody, tip your servers, tip your bartenders, tip Nate on the keys, and keep reading the Washington Blade, and we'll see you in May.